to write a Apex classes. What is we needed before starting Apex classes? So for that we will see a basic Apex classes. To write any Apex class, you can write from the directly going Apex classes, or you can also write from a developer console. I always recommend you to write from a developer console. Developer console, new Apex class, Apex class syntax is my class name. Apex class syntax is my class name. What is syntax for class? What is syntax for class? What is syntax for class? The syntax for class is class name is access specifier, class keyword. No, that is writing a class. This is a syntax. Syntax public class name. Access specifier, it's a changeable, it's a keyword. Class name, and then open bracket, close bracket. You understand? Access specifier is nothing but public. Let's say, what are access specifiers we have? We have public, private, protected, global. So in this level, you can replace with public, global, private, protected. You got it? So you can able to access specifier. You can replace this access specifier with one of the following four. Class, the one which I am writing in a capital letter, which cannot be changed. It's a keyword from a programming language. Concepts of Apex. You need to write a class. Class name, wherever I am using underscore, it refers something the user need to provide. Here I can provide my class name is Apex class syntax, account handler, trigger handler. So whatever I want, I can able to write. So inside this, what it will go? Inside this, what it will go? Let's say inside what it will go? Inside your local variables. Inside first thing you will get global variables. Second one methods. Third one constructors. A Apex class will contain only these three. One of the three following with the different varieties. Let's say methods are of different types: static method, non-static method, return methods, while methods. There are so many things. That's fine. What class contain? Class will only contain three things: global variables, methods, and constructors. Class will contain only three things called global variables, methods, and constructor. Java related motto. The class syntax is access specifier, class name. Access specifier, class name. For example, now public class, my new class. And what is global variable now? What is global variable? What is global variable? A global variable which will define at a class level. A variable which is defined at class level. A variable which is defined at class level. Types of global variables. We have two types of global variables. Types. Static global variable and non-static global variable. Static global variable and non-static global variable. These things you have to by heart before starting a programming language. Once you by hearted, if you are clear with this concept, you can write any program. This is the key and basic and important stuff before starting any coding. And whatever code you do, you will be applying the same rules and logics, whatever implementation you wanted to do. Still, So how many types of global variables we have? Two types. Static global variable and non-static global variable. Let's see what is static global variable. What is static global variable? What is static global variable? Static global variable means access specifier, static keyword, access specifier, static keyword, data type and variable name. Example, for example, public static string username. Public static string username. This is an example. This is an example. Now you can see access specifier is public, static keyword is static keyword, data type is string, and variable name is my username. Whenever you want to define your global variable with static, this is how the syntax follows. It could be a public, or it could be a private, it could be a protected. The way you want it, you can project later. But the actual syntax is access specifier, static keyword, data type, variable name. Fine. And how to invoke, how to call this? How to call static global variable. How to call static global variable? How to call static variable outside of a class? Class name dot global variable name. This is how you will be calling your global variable which is static. I mean static global variable which can be accessible through a class name. What is non-static then? What is non-static? I'll do one thing. I'll just copy paste the same thing. I'll remove static keyword for understanding. This is a global variable of non-static type. Because there is no keyword called static, it means that non-static. How can you call your non-static? Using object of a class. Using object, class object dot global variable name. How to create an object? Hint. Creating object. How to create object? Class name obj equal to new class underscore name. This is nothing but class object. This is how you will call your global variables which are non-static. Global variables which are non-static. How to call static global variable? Class name dot global variable name. There are so many variables which are available. Class name dot global variable name. If it is a non-static, class name dot global variable name. If it is a non-static, class object dot global variable name. Why you need an object here? Because these are not static. Non-static members can only be accessible by a objects. Can only accessible by a object. Accessible in the sense can be called. Accessible means can be called by a objects of a class. To which variables? Non-static global variables. What are methods now? We have only two. Let's forget global variables is of two kinds. One is static global variable and another is non-static global variable. What is methods now? Okay. What are methods? Let's say what are methods? What is methods? What is methods? Methods are class members which will do business logics and update the database. Methods help you to do a business logic and update your database. Let's say I wanted to update my account records phone number equal to so and so. I'll do my business logic in method and I'll update my database through a methods. How many types of methods we have? We have two types of methods again. How many categories of methods we have? Two categories. Method types. What is one? First one, static method, and second one, non-static method. First one is static method and second one is non-static method. Let's say we'll see what is static methods first. We'll see what is static methods. Static methods. Syntax. What is syntax? Access specifier, static keyword, return type, method name. Static methods, syntax of no parameters. There is no parameter here. Static syntax for a no parameter. The syntax of no, this is a static method which is a syntax of no parameters. There is no parameter here. We'll see what is syntax for a parameters. I'm just doing a copy paste for an understandability. Instead of this one, I can say data type space variable name comma data type space variable name. You can call n number. You can keep 1 or you can keep 2 or you can keep 3. How many you wanted you can put as a parameters. What changes between no parameters to parameters? What changes is only the change is you are passing some input arguments for this method. You are passing some input argument to this method. What is syntax? Access specifier, static keyword, return type, method name, and then your arguments, Clear? What method will contain? Method contains two things. Local variables, second one conditional statements, DML operation. What is DML operation? Data manipulation language. What is data manipulation language? Delete, insert, update, upset. Which updates the database, which modifies the database is a database manipulation language, data manipulated language. Okay. What it contains inside method? What you have? Local variables, conditional statements like if condition, else condition, whatnot. Okay, and then DML operations. How can you call these methods? How can you call these methods? How can you call these methods? Sorry? Why class name dot? Why class name dot? Calling. Because these are static. As we said, static members can be accessible by a class name. class name dot method name. If I have arguments, pass an argument. This is for calling no syntax. How to call my parameter method? How to pass my parameter? Let's say for that class name dot method name value comma value. You need to call based on by passing value. What data type you need to pass accordingly. What is non-static members? What is non-static methods? These are static methods, fine. What is non-static methods? What is non-static methods? Class object dot method name, class object dot method name. This is non-static. Both contain same thing. One is invoked by a class, one is invoked by a object. The syntax remains same. Are we clear on methods? What type of methods we have? Tell me. How many methods we have? What are they? Okay. How many ways you can segregate again? Segregate in the sense a method without parameters, a method with parameters. A method without parameters, a method with parameters. So, can I have a method name as same as class name? Yes. Can I have a class name? Can I have my method name as same as class name? Yes. Can I have a duplicate method names? Yes. With a different parameters. Class name, now I can say method name is M1, I will pass only 2 variables. In the next one I will pass 3 variables. With my inputs, I am segregating, hey, this is 3 method parameters, so you are acceptable. Got it? With a different parameters, with a different sequence of parameters. Let's say in method 1 I provided integer a, comma integer b. In method 1 again, integer b, comma integer a. Is that okay? Not okay. Data types are same. It will not check the variable name. It will check the data types. Both are integers only. 2 parameters with 2 integers. Method 1 is integer, comma integer. Method 1 again integer, comma integer. Variable name is b, a, c, a, whatever. It doesn't bother. What is the sequence of data types? Integer, comma integer, which will not accept. Let's say method 1, first one is integer, comma string. Second one is string, comma integer. It is acceptable. Because sequence is different right now. Right? You got it, what I am saying. Integer, comma integer, both are same. It won't check the variable names like A, B, C, nothing. But it checks the only sequence of data type you are entering as an argument. String, integer, boolean, all this you have, right? If I have 2 strings, I need to include a third parameter called integer k. Then I can say this is a different method. And I don't get any value. Fine, this is the methods. What is constructors? What is constructor? We are creating object. To create an object, we need a constructors. To create an object, we need a constructors. What is rules for constructors? Constructors helps you to create an entity for a class. Entity is nothing but an object. Entity is nothing but an object. Constructors. Constructors helps you to create an object. It helps you to create an object for a class. It helps you to create an object for a class. What is rules for the constructor? You should not have return type. It should not have return type. It should not contain any return type. What is second one? It should not contain static keyword. All constructors are non-static. It should not contain static keyword. Constructor should not contain static keyword. Constructors, you will not get static keyword. Static is a keyword, is a syntax like class. The same way we have static. You can see here, right? Global static. Static is a syntax in the Apex classes is a keyword. Keyword in the sense like a class, public, integer. The same way we have a static. Static means, let's say I have a class variable defined. I'm calling that class in 10 different places. I'm calling that class in 10 different times in the same class. But for a particular value, I need to have a constant value always. It should not get differed. So with a static keyword, it always holds only one value, entire execution. If it is a non-static, I can assign multiple values at different objects. I can create one object, hey, for this object 1, for this where username is Deepak. For object 2, username is this one. I can say class name.company, all these users belongs to Miss President. You understand? If it is value is constant across the class, across the execution, then it is a static value. If it is not, everywhere it will change, it means that you will define as a non-static. Simple, each object will give each memory will have each value. I don't want like that, I need to have a unique, then it need to have a one static value. It means that it always contain only one value. Because you are always calling using class name, always pointing to the same memory location, there is no duplicate memory, so you will get only one value always. If you override any point, it will change all the way. Where in objects, you have different objects, so one object is different, the object will always contains its own values, it will not refer to the object one values. Clear? Clear or not? Okay. Static values means if I call my class 10 times in only one method, in all 10 times I will get only one value. If it is a non-static, for 10 times I will get 10 different values. I mean it creates 10 different memories. Now constructors helps you to create an object. If it is helps you to create an object, if you define a static, how it will create a new object? It always points to the same memory, right? Clear? And next one, it should contain constructor name as class name. You always provide constructor name as class name. You remember we create an object here, right? Here we create an object. New. Actually this is a constructor. After new, whatever you are keeping the brackets open and closed, these are constructors. These are constructors. How many types of constructors we have? Types of constructors. Default constructor, which will generate by system. Let's suppose I created my Apex class and I did define any constructor. It means that from a backend system will generate one default constructor with no arguments. It will not have any argument. If I define my Apex class, I don't created any constructor within. I don't define any constructor within my class. It means the system will create for me from a backend. And second one is no argumented constructor. No argumented constructor. Creates by user with no arguments. No arguments means constructor class name, bracket open close, without passing any value, something like this, just defining a method like this and then continue. And next one, argumented constructor. Argumented constructor. Argumented constructor with arguments. Can I have a multiple argumented constructors? How? Again, with a different sequence of parameters. With a different sequence of parameters, you can have n number of. Can I have a no argumented constructor duplicated? Can I have multiple no argumented constructor in the same class? No, you can't have. You can have only one. You can have only one because it's a no argument, right? You can't create uniqueness by passing a parameter. If you pass parameters, it's a parameterized. So you can have only one thing. Do you think that if I define my default constructor, no argumented constructor, do you think that you will get default constructor? It will not. It will be overridden. It will be overridden. System will forget. System will not create a constructor for you. Fine, you created yourself. Let you create only. I will not create. Clear on this? Default constructor. What is syntax finally?
Default constructor, non-argumented. Both are same.
Default constructor which system will create without you define anything in the class. Default argument, no argumented is also same. Syntax remains same, but it is defined by you.
If you create object, that is the default constructor, right?
Oh, okay. Let's say new Apex class test. I'm just creating one class called test. Okay. So now public void I is my method name. Public void I is my method name. How can I call this method? I can't give test dot. It's a non-static, right? Test obj equal to new. From where you are getting this constructor? You didn't define anything. This is called system provided is called default constructor. Let's suppose public test. Now this is no argumented constructor because I defined, right? Because I defined. This is not generated by system. This is defined by me. Then this is no argument. Let's say first I am saying system dot debug no argumented. I didn't save this. I'm executing first. Okay, I'm executing this. Just executed silent. Nothing is showed up. Debug only. Nothing, you got it, right? Let me save this one. Now system constructor will not be generated. It will be generated by your constructor because you define no argumented now. Control E. Now no argumented will be output for you. Am I calling my constructor anywhere? Here I am calling my constructor. Constructors cannot be called. Constructor will be utilized to create an object. Whenever you utilize this, automatically this method will execute. This constructor will execute. Now I just created new test. You can see debug only. No argumented. So whenever you start creating a new constructor, new object, which constructor you are using, inside that code will execute automatically. Clear or not? Simple here.
What is the difference between constructor and method?
Method helps you to do a DML operation. Constructors will not do that. Let's suppose whenever I wanted to, Visual Force, have you saw Visual Force pages? Whenever page loads, you will get account data and everything, right? How you are getting the data? On load, what is basic needed, basic stuff I needed to do my business logic, that will be handled by a constructor. Whenever I load page, I need a collection of objects like account data, opportunity, all this information I wanted to have. That will be generated, the raw material, the scope of a data will be generated from a constructor and method will utilize to do a business operation. Here I can't do a DML operations, you know. Let's say update select ID from account. Can I save this? Is it possible to save? Unexpected tokens, array, select. Fine. Now let's say execute. Debug only. What happened? Update select ID from account. From account. ACC equal to select ID from account. Completing execute. Now whatever accounts I updated, I need to have a return. Whatever accounts I updated now, I need to have updated values. How you will get from a constructor?
There is no return type.
How you will do that now? I need a return now. Whenever on load, I need to do update operations, and then I need to have a return whatever I updated now.
Method.
Right? Methods can return you something. You can split the function in different places, and you can call those methods for a accumulated output. Right? Whatever method is doing, it will return. What about constructor? Constructor will just execute. It will create a data for you. Utilization and everything happen through a constructors. Methods. Because why methods will be utilized? If I create an object, if it is a non-static method, on which variable I need to access? Object dot. If I refer to object dot, that method will utilize the entire data of that object. It will not refer to the other object. Simple. If I refer, let's say here I define public list of account semicolon. This is fine. Yes, public list unexpected token SSC account correct only. SSC, sorry. Now, if I hit this, let's say public void test is my method name M1. Let's say this is my M1. This is my M1. Now assume if I execute, what happens? If I execute, what happens now? Control E, I'm trying to execute like obj.m1. Is that okay to call now? Is that okay to call now? Because now you'll get an error. Execute. Why yaar? Sorry. SSC equal to dot yard, or let's say dot add. Execute. Attempt to dereference a null object. This is what error I am expected, because you can see, does it have a memory now? It doesn't have any memory. It's just a variable you declared. Right? You didn't initialize. Okay, 10 o'clock. Okay, you didn't define. Now what happened? What constructor will do now? Public test. I will not do anything. SSC equal to new list of account. This is my memory initialization. This is what I initialize from a constructor now. So before it don't have a memory allocated, now through a constructor I am defining the value. Execute. It helps. Now it's created a memory before calling the method. With that memory only, the other operations will be performed. Let's not worry. Think this way. Whatever business logic you'll write, it will go inside methods. Constructors helps you to create an objects. Remember this for now. Nothing big. Because when we go to the constructors and other process, constructor helps you to create an object. Without object, how can you call your methods? You can't define everything as a static. You need to define your methods as a non-static. When you define non-static, it means how can you call that? Using constructors? Objects. How to create an object? Without constructor, object will not create by a system. To create an object, you need constructor. So constructor have its own importance to create a memory for a method to execute. See, I have 10 songs. How can I copy to other system? Consider the other system have no hard disk only. How can I copy? So that memory will be generated through a constructor. It will ensure that I need to create. Either you can choose. Constructor is something like, if I want to transfer file, now we are using share it, pen drives, memory cards, or now you are using Bluetooth. The Bluetooth and everything is a medium to create it, to transfer your data. The transfer of that data to another memory is nothing but a const object. That object will be generated through a constructor.